There comes a moment in every person's life, often quiet, sometimes dramatic, when the veil begins to slip. You sense it in the pause between your thoughts, in the moments just before sleep, in the peculiar ache of feeling both full and empty at once. Something within you begins to whisper, "This isn't all there is." And maybe for the first time, you don't swat it away. You listen. You've been told that life is hard, that reality is solid, that you must strive, claw, sacrifice, and earn your place. That who you are is defined by your past, by your status, by the numbers in your account, or the lines on your resume. You've built your identity like a fortress, layer upon layer of effort, protection, and expectation. But here's the truth. None of that is real. Not in the way you've been taught to believe. Let that land. The world as you know it is not fixed. It's not rigid. It's not a machine grinding away outside of your influence. What you call reality is not objective. It is a mirror, responding to you, reflecting you, shifting with the patterns of your awareness. Your life is not happening to you. It is happening through you. But until you recognize this, you remain trapped in the illusion, believing you must fight for what you already are, chase what you already have, and prove what was never in doubt. This isn't about wishful thinking or empty positivity. This is about the architecture of your consciousness, about the invisible rules you've unknowingly agreed to. You've been hypnotized into believing that change must be external first, that the answers are somewhere out there, that if you just do enough, you'll eventually be enough. But tell me honestly, where in your life are you still chasing something you don't believe you deserve? That is the cage. And the key has been in your hand the entire time. To awaken is not to reject the world, but to see it clearly. To crack the illusion and realize that what you perceive is filtered through beliefs, many of which were never yours to begin with. Childhood programming, generational fears, cultural agreements, all shaping the lens through which you view the infinite quantum field of possibility. You've been taught to observe the world like it's permanent. But what if it's more like a lucid dream, responsive, changeable, intimate? What if you are the observer and the artist at the same time? This is the beginning of spiritual awakening. Not an escape from life, but an immersion into its true nature. A remembering that your thoughts are not just echoes, they are signals. Your emotions are not just moods, they are frequencies. And your desires are not just longings, they are blueprints, calling reality into form. Imagine how your life might shift if you believed, truly believed, that nothing is solid and everything is changeable. How would you walk through your day? How would you speak to yourself? How would you approach your pain? You might begin to notice how often you narrate limitation. I can't. That's just the way it is. Things never work out for me. You begin to hear it, not as truth, but as programming. And that awareness alone is the first fracture in the illusion. Because the moment you see the script, you are no longer bound to it. The world will not change because you beg it to. It will change because you begin to believe something new, and that belief, vibrational and alive, will ripple outward, bending reality around it like gravity. This is not metaphor. It is the quiet law that has always governed the game. Most never realize it. But you're starting to, and that changes everything. If you could strip the universe down to its smallest pieces, not the atoms, not the particles within them, but further, deeper, past all form, you would find something strange, something almost mythical in its simplicity. You would find possibility. Quantum physics, in its most poetic truth, tells us that what we call the physical world is not a collection of solid, unmoving things. It is a symphony of energy fields, waves, probabilities, flickers of potential, awaiting an observer, awaiting you. Everything is made of energy, vibrating at different frequencies, and those vibrations only collapse into what we call matter when observed, when focused upon. Until then, they are simply waves of possibility, which means, in a very real and mystical way, Nothing exists until you give it attention. Let that awaken something in you. We are taught to be passive observers of life, to react, to respond, to interpret what is already out there. But quantum principles suggest that we are not mere watchers. We are participants, creators, co-authors of the script we are living. And the pen we hold? It's made of thought, emotion, intention, and belief. This is not about denying hardship or bypassing reality with spiritual slogans. It's about understanding that even hardship is not a punishment. It is a frequency that matched an inner state. Change that state, and the outer reflection must shift, because it has no choice. Think of the quantum field as an infinite ocean of potential. In that sea, every version of your life already exists. The joyful one, the abundant one, the empowered one, and also the anxious one, the struggling one, the small, self-denying one. None are more real than the others. They are all just vibrations. The one you experience is the one you're tuned to. Just like a radio can only play the station it's set to. This is the sacred paradox. You are already whole, already free. But you must align with the frequency of that truth in order to experience it. That means letting go of the static, the doubt, the fear, the belief that you are separate from the love, joy, and power you long for. You are not manifesting something outside of you. You are selecting what already exists by your resonance. And resonance is determined by what you consistently think, feel, and expect. You might ask, but why would I tune into struggle? Why would I create what hurts me? Because your subconscious still believes it's safer to suffer than to step into the unknown. Because your nervous system has memorized anxiety as normal. Because your soul wants you to wake up, and sometimes discomfort is the only teacher we'll listen to. Real change begins when you stop asking, how do I fix this? And start asking, why do I keep tuning into this? Look around your life, gently, without judgment. What patterns keep repeating? What outcomes seem inevitable? What emotional states feel familiar, even if painful? Those are your signals. Not evidence of failure, but invitations to shift. And here's where the miracle begins. When you change your internal frequency, not just intellectually, but energetically, the quantum field rearranges itself to match. This is not magic. This is coherence. A woman I once met struggled with loneliness for over a decade. She did all the right things, therapy, journaling, vision boards, but deep down she believed love would betray her, because it always had. One day, sitting in stillness, she whispered something different. I am safe to receive love. She didn't believe it yet, but she said it like a lullaby to her cells. Over time, she began feeling what that would be like. That's when her outer world shifted, not before. Within 6 months, she met the partner who reflected her new signal. That is quantum living. We don't force reality, we entangle with it. Emotionally, spiritually, energetically, and the field responds, not to our words or effort, but to our state of being. So I ask you now, what version of you already exists in the field, quietly waiting for you to remember it? What life have you been dreaming of, not as a fantasy, but as a forgotten home? Because the moment you begin to vibrate with that reality, even before it shows up in your external world, you begin the collapse. You begin the miracle, and reality, as it always has, begins to listen. There's a phrase I want you to hold in your heart like a seed. You are not broken. You are out of tune. That's it. That's the shift. For most of your life, you've been told that something's wrong with you. That if you aren't happy, successful, or loved, it must mean you're flawed. You've internalized these ideas so deeply that now when something good approaches, you question it, sabotage it, doubt it. You call it too good to be true. But what if the truth is this? You were simply conditioned into disharmony. Like a radio picking up static, you've been broadcasting fear when you meant to send love. You've been tuned to lack when abundance was always your station. You've lived dissonant with your nature, not because you're defective, but because you forgot the sound of your soul. Let's bring this closer. Every thought you think carries a frequency. Every emotion you feel radiates a vibration. These aren't poetic ideas. They are measurable patterns. When you carry the emotion of shame, your entire being contracts. You dim your energy, close your heart, silence your voice. And when your frequency dims, what you attract shifts accordingly. You don't draw in what you want. You draw in what matches who you are being. This is where it becomes both beautiful and confronting. You are always manifesting. The question isn't whether or not you're creating your reality. The question is, from what state are you creating it? Pause here. In what ways have you mistaken trauma for identity? In what ways have you settled for surviving when you were meant to soar? That tightening in your chest when someone compliments you, the voice that says you're not ready, the anxiety that flares up when love arrives. It's not evidence that you're unworthy. It's evidence of misalignment. That's it. And alignment can be retuned. But first, you must stop fighting your own energy. You must stop trying to fix yourself as if you're a problem. Healing is not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before the world taught you to doubt yourself. There was a time, before the layers and the masks and the coping, when you trusted life, trusted your joy, trusted your voice. And even now, no matter how distant that memory seems, that version of you is not lost. It is humming underneath like a song beneath the noise. And here's where quantum philosophy returns, not just to explain, but to reveal. When you shift your inner state, you are not getting anything from the world. You are allowing what has always existed in the field to find you. That is resonance. That is quantum entanglement. The new job, the right partner, the unexpected opportunity. They aren't random. They are echoes of your internal state, showing up in physical form. But to reach that resonance, you must clear what distorts the signal. Imagine you are an instrument, a beautifully crafted, deeply resonant instrument. Over the years, you've been dropped, misused, forgotten. Your strings have frayed. But that does not change your essence. It only means you need tuning. So what does tuning look like? It means noticing the thought that says, "I'm not enough," and responding with love instead of agreement. It means replacing "why is this happening to me" with "what is this awakening in me?" It means allowing joy even when fear tells you not to trust it. One woman I worked with had spent years believing she was cursed when it came to money. She would earn and then lose, save and then face surprise bills. In meditation one day, she remembered her father's voice saying, "People like us don't get rich." And she realized it wasn't money that avoided her. It was her rejection of abundance as unsafe. Once she released that inherited belief, her entire financial reality shifted. Not because she tried harder, but because she stopped pushing abundance away. You are not broken. You are simply vibrating at the frequency of a story that was never yours. And you can write a new one. So ask yourself gently, what would I stop doing if I truly believed I was already worthy? What would I allow into my life if I trusted that my desires were sacred instructions, not foolish fantasies? Because when your internal frequency rises, not from ego but from remembrance, life doesn't resist you. It recognizes you. You are not here to prove. You are here to align. And in that alignment, miracles become mundane. Every moment you are broadcasting, not with your mouth, but with your mind, your heart, your nervous system. Whether you know it or not, you are sending signals out into the quantum field, emitting a frequency that instructs the universe how to respond to you. Most people never realize this. They think they are reacting to life, when life is actually reacting to them. This is the quiet revolution of spiritual awakening, reclaiming the power of conscious resonance, understanding that your inner world is not a private theater. It is a transmission tower, and the signal you send becomes the life you live. So what signal are you sending? When you walk into a room and feel invisible, are you vibrating invisibility? When you consistently attract unavailable love, are you still clinging to the frequency of abandonment? When opportunities keep slipping through your fingers, are you vibrating doubt, not belief? This is not about blame. It's about choice. Because choice is the tool you were born with, and choice begins in awareness. Imagine your mind as a tuning fork. If you strike it with the vibration of fear, it resonates out and calls fear echoes back. If you strike it with trust, it sings with opportunity. This is not mystical abstraction, it's emotional physics. The world does not conform to what you say you want. It responds to the state you live in. And this state is not a mood, it's a frequency, a field of emotional coherence that you carry like a signature. Think of a person you've met who just radiates peace. You can feel it before they even speak. That's coherence, that's alignment, and it can be cultivated. So how do you shift? Not through force, not through hustle, but through tuning. You begin by becoming still, by listening, by noticing how often your inner narrative says, "I'm behind," or "it's too late," or "I'm not ready." Then you gently, repeatedly choose a different note. You hold that note, even if it trembles, even if no one else can hear it yet. And you trust that the field hears it, because it always does. One man I knew had been stuck in a cycle of rejection for years. Jobs, relationships, even friendships seemed to dissolve. He carried shame like a second skin. But after learning about energetic broadcasting, he began a simple practice. Every morning, he stood in front of the mirror and whispered the words, "I am chosen." Not loudly, not even confidently at first, but he meant it a little more each day. Within weeks, things began to change. Invitations arrived, interviews flowed, people who had forgotten him reached out. Not because the world changed, but because he had. This is the power of frequency, the power of coherence, the power of tuning into the version of you that already exists in the quantum field and making it real through your inner resonance. Think of it like this: the future is not ahead of you. It is all around you, like a cloud of options. You do not chase it, you match it. You become the person who is living it already. And then, like fog becoming rain, it condenses into form. So where do you start? Start with your emotions, not by suppressing them, but by listening to them. Every emotional state is a compass. Fear isn't failure, it's feedback. Anxiety isn't weakness, it's information. Each feeling shows you what you're tuned to, and each feeling gives you a choice: reinforce it or rewire it. Ask yourself, what am I rehearsing every day in my thoughts and emotions? Because repetition is resonance. If you rehearse doubt, you become it. If you rehearse gratitude, you embody it. And when gratitude becomes your frequency, not just a fleeting feeling, but a practiced state, you begin to attract the realities that gratitude is tuned to: ease, flow, connection. So no, you don't need to work harder. You need to align better. No, you don't need to fix your life. You need to broadcast a new one. And that broadcast begins with intention. Not rigid goal setting, but heart set, soul set. A calm, unwavering clarity that says, this is who I am now. This is what I believe. This is the frequency I walk with. And the field? It will answer in kind. Because it always does. You do not find transformation. You become it. Spiritual awakening is not a single moment of enlightenment. It is a continuous unfolding, a deep remembering. It's when you stop asking the world to show you who you are, and instead begin living as if you already know. This is where the shift becomes more than theory. It becomes practice, embodiment, living the new frequency on purpose. Not just when things are going well, but especially when they are not. Because anyone can feel aligned when the sun is shining. But the real alchemy begins when you remain in resonance even in the storm. That's when the field notices. The truth is, most people live from memory. They replay past experiences, rehearse old wounds, and expect yesterday's outcome to return again. But in doing so, they remain tethered to timelines that no longer serve them. They become predictable. And the quantum field, this vast ocean of potential, cannot deliver new outcomes to those who refuse to become new versions of themselves. To live the shift is to break the pattern. It's waking up and choosing presence over autopilot, choosing clarity over noise, choosing to no longer source your self-worth from external conditions. It is the moment you decide, I no longer wait to see it in my world, I feel it within me now. That's the pivot. You stop saying, when I have the relationship, the job, the peace, then I'll feel good. And instead you say, I choose to feel good now, because that is who I am, that is the station I am tuned to, and the world must meet me there. This is not delusion. This is creation. We've been taught to chase, to hustle, to grab life by the collar and bend it to our will. But the quantum field does not respond to desperation. It responds to coherence, to clarity, to the steadiness of someone who no longer begs life to change, but becomes the change life cannot ignore. So who must you become? Ask yourself, what does the version of me who already has everything I desire, how does that version think, speak, love, rest, decide? Then begin doing that now, not perfectly, not overnight, but with faith, because when your choices match your future more than your past, you collapse time, you collapse resistance, you collapse doubt, and you open the portal through which the unmanifest becomes manifest. There was a woman who wrote herself letters from the future. Every morning she would journal as if her dream life had already arrived. She didn't do this to convince the universe, she did it to remind herself. She walked differently, spoke differently, expected differently, and within a year, her external life caught up with the internal shift. Not because of magic, but because she stopped vibrating with who she had been and started harmonizing with who she truly was. This is how you become the creator, not by forcing, by feeling, by believing, by being. You will still have doubt. You will still feel fear. That is part of the human path. But you will no longer be ruled by those emotions. You will see them as signals, indicators of where you're slipping off frequency, and gently retune. You will hold yourself differently. You will speak with more intention. You will trust not because you see proof, but because you are the proof. And when your inner world is so rich, so full, so grounded in love and power and clarity, the outer world has no choice but to align. Because it always does. This is the path of living awake. This is the truth of quantum creation. So take a breath, place your hand over your heart, feel the hum of life within you, the quiet pulse that has never abandoned you. That is your tuning fork. That is your access point. That is your home. You are not waiting for the shift. You are the shift. You've made it to the edge of something powerful. The recognition that your life, your reality, your very identity is not a fixed story, but a living frequency. The truth is, you were never meant to feel powerless. You were born to remember, to awaken to your role as a creator, not by controlling the outer world, but by mastering the one within. This isn't about pretending hardship doesn't exist. It's about realizing that you are never at the mercy of it. Every emotion is a guide. Every thought is a thread. Every choice you make broadcasts a vibration into the quantum field that shapes what finds its way back to you. So pause now and ask yourself, where am I still living as if I am separate from the reality I desire? Let this be the moment you stop waiting, the moment you stop negotiating your worth, the moment you remember, deeply, fully, and unapologetically, that the version of you who lives your dream life is already here, and all that's left is to tune in. If this message sparked something within you, I invite you to reflect, to comment, to share what resonated. And if you're ready to keep walking this path, subscribe, because this is just the beginning. You are seen. You are powerful. You are already becoming. Welcome home.